Hi everyone, welcome back to my Flosstube. My name is Rachel, this is Lemonade Stitching, and I have a bit of a different video for you today. I thought I would walk you through how I prep my cross stitch and other crafty projects to come on a trip with me. I always have to have crafts with me no matter where I go, how long the trip is. There has to be at least one project in my bag, and I am gearing up for a week-long trip to Italy. So of course I am trying to figure out what am I bringing, how much stuff can I fit in my bag, how much time am I gonna have, all the things. So I thought I would talk you through what I'm bringing and how I decide which projects will be good to bring, what kind of accessories I'm gonna have, if I'm bringing anything other than cross stitch, all of that. So if that interests you, I hope you'll stay tuned for a little bit and let's get on into it. My criteria that I'm kind of thinking through when I'm picking projects are: how many colors does it have? Is it easy to see the fabric? Is the pattern really complicated? Do I need a pattern? Like, do I have to be referring to the pattern all the time to stitch it? That's kind of what I'm thinking through. So normally when I go on trips, I bring my iPad. I'm an iPad stitcher. I love a digital pattern, but I'm going up to Italy. We're going abroad. I don't want to bring my iPad. I don't want to risk losing it, getting it stolen, breaking it, any of that. And I also don't want to be like using up space to bring this, you know. It's like one thing if I'm just bringing, like if I have a backpack and I have a check bag and whatever, but I'm bringing carry-on only and my like small crossbody purse. So we are limited on space. iPad will not be coming with us. So based on all that criteria of colors, ease of pattern, whatnot, I have two cross stitch projects that I am planning on bringing. So first is going to be Baltic Birdies. This is a project I've been working on for almost a year and a half, and it has been a travel project really since I started it. I have brought this on several trips with me, and it is a 40 count project, but it's on a really easy to see linen, at least for me. It's, you know, a light color, there's no modeling, it's only one color of floss, one strand. And the pattern, even though there's a lot to the pattern, it's a symmetrical pattern, it's not super complicated to follow along. So this will be one project. So I've got this because, again, it's also like it's a big project, so I know there will be plenty to do on it, but it doesn't take up a lot of space, right? It's just one piece of linen. I've got a floss card, or a card of floss. I'll probably bring two just in case. Not that I anticipate using up this whole floss drop, whatever, but you never know, what if I lose it? So I'll grab one. I keep this baggie of extra floss in the project bag, but I'm just gonna take one out. Make sure it's one that actually has thread on it. Take one out and throw that, and we've got project number one. An important thing for this one is, how am I going to know what the pattern is? Because I just told you I'm not bringing my iPad. So what I did was I went old school and I printed out the pattern. So I did go through and I highlighted everything that I had done. I don't want to like show you the whole pattern, but I went through after I printed this off, highlighted the chart for all the progress that I'd done so far based on my markup file. And I do actually have one page that I'm gonna finish before we leave on Saturday. It only has like 100 and something stitches left, and then it'll be done. So this top page hopefully will not be coming on the trip because there's just a teeny, like two little motifs here in the bottom corner. And then I'll have 3 pages. They all go right in a row across the bottom, super easy. And that's what I'm gonna bring. So I'll have this, I'll have a highlighter, and that's project one. The other thing I'm gonna do, just as a backup, and depending on where we are, is take my markup file and put it on my phone. So first things first, I need to make sure markup is actually on my phone, the app itself. That's gonna be important, so downloading that. And while that's downloading, I will prep the file on my iPad. So If you didn't know, markup does not, it like stores all your files locally on your device. So you can, like if you pay for markup, you can have it on multiple devices, but it's not gonna sync like with a cloud or anything, but it's still really easy to share the files, you know, across devices. So this downloaded, I'm gonna go ahead and log in. Let's see, refresh purchase. See if it finds me with my Apple ID. I just clicked refresh purchase and it is loading. Whatever, we'll let that run while we're getting this set up. So these are all my projects that I have in markup right now. So all I need to do is find the project I want. So in this case, it's gonna be Baldiquin Birdies. I'm gonna click on this like rectangle below it, and this is where my project settings come up. If I export to zip, this big pink button, it will create a zip file for me. So it'll save the grid and the markup that I have so far and all of that. And it'll open up like the little share menu. And I'm going to airdrop this to my phone. Gotta love an Apple product. If you don't have Apple products, well, I don't think markup works on non-Apple products actually, so that's not an issue. When you airdrop it, it's gonna look like this. So it's gonna want a password because it's a protected zip file. Don't worry about that. You don't have a password, you don't need a password. Once it's on my phone, I'm going to just save it to my, or it should be saved in my downloads. So I can go over to markup, add a new project, and restore from zip. Oh, it hasn't loaded my license yet, so we have to wait. Let's see. Maybe if I put in my name. Okay, well while my email code is loading, let's get my other cross stitch project. So, other project I'm going to bring is, drumroll please, Coneflower Chorus by the Blue Flower. So this one, let me tell you why I picked this. So here's the project. This one I'm bringing A, because I have a paper pattern, so I don't have to rely on my iPad. And B, it has a lot of areas for fill-in. Each of these petals and big birds, like they're pretty big, dense areas. And it also is slower stitching for me because this is 2 strands, so I have to stitch it in a hoop to get the best tension. And I also am stitching this in like the shape of each item, so I'm going like around in circles instead of just straight across in rows, and that really has slowed down my stitching on this. So for that reason, I thought this would make a good project to bring. It also only has 6 colors. So this past week I have been working on outlining a ton of these sections. Please don't mind the hanging threads. Stuck on something. But I have been working on outlining a ton of these petals and leaves and a bird, and just really prepping this so that I can just pick this up whenever I have free time on the trip and get progress done. There's only one of each color, so 1 pink, 1 orange, 1 yellow, so I don't even have to refer to this really to see what color I need, because I can see what color the outline is and go from there. However, I will still bring the paper chart just as a backup, and I also will put the markup file on my phone along with Baldiquin Birdies, just to make sure I have, you know, have it in a couple different places. If I want to cross off all the stitches I got done at the end of the day, it's really, really easy, but I don't have to sit there with my phone on, wasting battery, working on the chart. So we will fold this up, add that to the pile with the pattern, and then make sure I have my flosses. So it's a pretty small floss ring, and my hoop, and my needle. That's important too. So I've got my hoop, my needle, my little magnetic cable ties, and I actually need to make sure I didn't put a needle in here for Baldiquin Birdies, so find one of those laying around. Here we go. Well, actually, well, I have my cable tie for that project, but I don't have my needle. Well, whatever, we'll add one of those. I think I have one in my little stitching case. Let's see if I have an extra in here. I think so, somewhere. Yeah, here we go. So we've got our needle. Okay, so we've got 2 projects. A hoop, floss for both, patterns for both, and needles for both. Next is my, I guess we'll segue into my little stitching case. So this is my stitching case that I bring with me. This is my travel little guy. So it's a little tin and I've got stitching on the top. It's all pink themed. And I keep scissors in here, snag nabbit in here, extra needles, a thread, like an orc catcher. It's a wreck right now because I've been using it a lot at stitch night and whatnot. Oh look, we've got pins and needles on the ground. So this is the current status of it. So I need to clean this up. Let's see what is in here. I've got sewing needles in here because I was FFOing at stitch night. So these can go. I'm gonna put these, I guess I'll put them in this project bag. This will be like my put away project bag. This needle I don't even like. I want to have one of each size needle. This is what I keep in here. It's got 24, 26, and 28 needle. And then I put a pin on the back. You never know when you need a pin. Got scrap paper in here. I've got threads from Coneflower Chorus that I need to put back on floss drops. What a wreck. Got that all organized. We've got some garbage in here on my little Ort thread bed here. So I'll clean that off and I'll just put it in my pocket, whatever. Needles, chapstick, another pin that doesn't need to be in here. More needles. Oh, these are my snag nabbits. I do want those. We've got some white thread from another project. Tweezers. None of this goes in here. My snag nabbits do go in here. And then my, what is this? A spoolie goes in here. I've got my little frog guy. He's so cute. He's just there for moral support. And then I've got a tapestry needle. I will keep this in here only because we're bringing knitting, so hence the tapestry needle. Right now I have a knitting stitch marker in here. Don't need that. And I've got a rogue magnet that I don't know what it's from, so don't really need that either. So get all this out of here. We will put this in my bag. This is all the extra pins and needles that had collected in there. So we'll put that stuff away when I am cleaning up from filming this. And yeah, so now we've got a new clean little stitching case. I also, these are green scissors, which are great, but they don't match the bag. The bag is supposed to have pink scissors. So I will switch those back out with my pink scissors and we are good to go on my little stitching case. Let's talk other crafts. On this trip, I anticipate doing crafts in the airport, on the plane, on the trains, at the pool, at a cafe, possibly on a bus or a ferry or something. Lots of modes of transportation where crafts will be a necessity. So I've got the 2 cross stitch projects, but we all know sometimes it's just not the right place or vibe to cross stitch. So I will be bringing knitting. I am mostly a sock knitter at this point in my life. That's pretty much all I do. So I've got one of these blue socks done. This is a vanilla sock from the Crazy Sock Lady. Oh my god. Oh my god. Nobody panic. Nobody panic. Nobody panic. Oh my god. Nobody freak out. Holy shit. Okay, problem solved. No big deal. What was I saying about this sock? This is a vanilla sock from the Crazy Sock Lady, and I will be bringing her on the trip. So I am almost done with this sock, so what I need to do is finish the toe. That's all I need to do. I know you just saw me drop all those stitches, but I think I picked them back up. So I'm going to Kitchener this toe, and that is going to be step one of preparing this project to be brought on vacation, which is why we have our handy dandy tapestry needle or yarn needle in our stitching case. Okay, awesome. And then I'm going to leave this, put the garbage in my pocket. Got this. I'm gonna leave the ends because it's a good playing activity. Put the needle back in my little guy, but now, I like to sleep, I have to adjust. Now I need to make sure I have enough stitch markers to recreate this sock. So I am going to get my little, I brought up my other little stitching case, and I've got my stitch markers in here, and we're just gonna put stitch markers on here to make sure we have enough. I want matching ones. I think I'll pick yellow. Those are fun. I know that I do 60 rows of stockinette for the leg, so I'm gonna pick 6 of these little light bulb stitch markers. All right, we got that. So these are my leg stitch markers. I don't use stitch markers for the cuff, but then I will need stitch markers for the foot. So I need to count these again and make sure that they're right, because I know I was moving these around and I don't know if they're right or not. So this green one is where I stopped the leg, and then I didn't put one when I stopped the foot. So like there's a couple rows in here I need to figure out where I stopped the foot and where I started the toe. Good news, they are placed correctly. Bad news, I don't have any more blue stitch markers to match. That's okay, doesn't really matter. Now I just need to figure out where my foot stopped and my toe started. Whatever, close enough. So now I got this many stitch markers, and basically what I'm gonna do, if and when I get to the foot on my new sock, I will just move the stitch markers like directly from this sock to the other one, if that makes sense. For these stitch markers, so that I don't lose them, I'm going to hook them right inside of my project bag. So I'll open my little light bulb, and this is a lined bag, so I will just catch in the liner. I won't go through both layers of fabric. I'll just catch the hook like that, close it up, and this way I've got all my stitch markers nice and ready and available there at the top of the bag for when I'm knitting. I'll throw my other sock in there so I can weave in ends and use it to compare and whatnot as needed. Then I've got yarn in here. The tags are still in here, which is fine. Looks like we've got our 2 like on the needle stitch markers for beginning and middle of round. So I'm actually gonna put these on the stitch marker here with the rest of them so that I know where they are when I cast on. Normally before a trip I would cast on the project before we go, but I probably won't. I probably won't, because then I have a hard time stopping, because I'm like, well, I might as well just keep going and then the sock will be over by the time we get to the trip. So I've got sock, stitch markers. The tags don't really matter, but they don't take up any space, so I'll keep them in here. It would appear I have one little guy for the end of my needles, which I don't know why I only have one. And I don't know why the other one is, so I'm not gonna bring it. Whatever, we'll see if I regret that decision. I've got my 9-inch circulars, and I've got my, what are these? 24, 36-inch, something like that. 32-inch round, and this is just in case or circular. This is just in case I get all the way to the toe. I honestly don't know what to expect and if I'll want in it, but I'm gonna bring them anyway, and hopefully they don't get confiscated. I don't need this extra box of stitch markers. I was thinking of bringing my measuring tape, but I don't think I need it because I'm gonna, like, I've got it all counted out. So I'm gonna leave this home. Yeah, leave that home. We got knitting. Now you might be saying, Rachel, that is more than enough to work on in a week. There's no way you'll finish all of that. And I would say you're right, but I'm gonna bring more anyway. And the third thing I'm gonna bring, or fourth, I guess, kinda, because I got 2 cross stitch, is needlepoint. So I just started needlepointing, and I have a huge canvas that I'm working on. If you want to see it, go check out my Flosstube. But I also have a small canvas. This is a vintage canvas that I got for free from a friend at Stitch Night, and I thought it'd make a fun project bag. I also thought it would make a fun travel project because, again, I don't have to have a pattern for needlepoint. So I'm gonna bring this. I kitted it up at my LNS this week. I, however, do not need all of this. So I think what I need to do is take a couple needles out. I think I'll just bring 2. And I'm gonna put these in my little stitching case, and I'll put them in this slot here. Even though they're 22, size 22 needles, I don't have a size 22 slot, so they will have to go in the size 24 slot. All right, so I've got those. I've already got Spag Nappa and scissors in there. Now I just need to bring thread. Now the thing about needlepoint is the threads are so big. Like, these take up so much room. So I think I'm going to get a thread holder and put them on that. Like one of those, like, it has a bunch of holes on it, right? And I just loop it through because I don't want to bring all of this. Let me go get one of my, like, floss holders, and we'll go from there. Okay, I'm out of breath because I just ran all the way down to the basement, but got one of these floss cards. So I'm thinking I can put some of this wool on this card and use that. I don't know. I'm worried about, like, messing the wool up. Like, I don't know how fragile it is, but also at the same time, it's a project bag, so it's gonna get used, so, you know, whatever. Okay, let me do this. I need to go through, this is the only skein that's been cut, so that it's all the same, like, usable lengths. I'm gonna go through, put these on here. I need to take pictures so I know what color is what skein, just in case I need more, and then I'll come back and show you what we're working with. I also have to try and remember how to cut these skeins. That's gonna be interesting. Oh lordy, what have I gotten myself into? I have no idea. And I'm missing a card. The card for this one. Well, we'll find it later. Whatever. Now I've got an absolute mess of little thread tags. And if you're curious, this is all silk and ivory thread. So it's a 50% silk, 50% merino wool. And I'm happy to share the exact colors if anyone's curious. I don't know how many of you watching this are into needlepoint, so I'll save you that, but if you want to know, just let me know. And then I do have one Vineyard Silk Merino, which is 100% merino wool, just because my Anas didn't have like this dark green color that I wanted in the silk and ivory. So I'm going to save these and put those in there. And then I think while I was doing this, I decided I am gonna save some thread off to the side. So I'm only gonna bring, let's see, this blue. I'm only gonna bring half a skein of that, and then I'll just bring half a skein of this dark green, because realistically, I'm not gonna need it, and God forbid I do, it'll be here waiting for me when I get home. There we go. There's one color. And then same with the dark green. This, I'll take half of it. I know I'm not gonna need this much, but it makes me nervous to not bring enough. The rest of them I think I'll keep as is. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's good for that. I do have two of these yellows because that's my background color, but other than that, we're good. So the only other thing I need to do for this, for the needlepoint to be ready, is just retape the edges. Since this is an old canvas, the tape, the masking tape they use is coming off of one side. So I'll just do that before I leave sometime this week or later today. But other than that, this is ready to go. Last thing we need is a little double check and to pick a project bag. So I brought up a couple of options. I definitely like to only bring one bag with me when I travel. So I'd ideally like something that will fit all of this. Well, both the cross stitches and the needlepoint. The knitting will stay in its own bag. I brought 3 sizes, small, medium, and large. And I think, honestly, this one will probably be the winner. I don't want to have to fold up, I don't know. I will have to fold this canvas in half if I bring that one, but it's, the only other one is this big, ugly one. What do we think? I don't know. I guess that does fit the needlepoint better. Maybe I'll do a needlepoint bag and a cross stitch bag. That feels like too much though. Usually when I travel, I only bring one bag, so I think I'm gonna try to do that this time. What about this one? If I put my cross stitch in here and my little keeper, whatever this is, and then put the needlepoint in here. I guess I could fold this again. Okay, this will be fine. This will be fine. Okay, cool. That all fits in there nice. So I've got this. Shit. Got this. It's got everything in there. Hoop, thread, scissors, all the things. And then the only other thing I want to do is bring a little zipper pouch, because this is the bag I'm going to bring as like my purse. It's a little like crossbody zipper bag. And I definitely can fit my knitting in here, no problem. If like knitting is the hobby that I want to bring that day. But I can't bring this whole thing. So what I'm thinking is, if on one of our excursion days I decide that I want to bring cross stitch, I can use this teeny tiny bag and just throw, you know, the fabric and floss and scissors in here, and this will fit in my purse. So that is the plan for that. I'm realizing I didn't put a highlighter in here, so let me make a list on my phone. And this I'll just throw in my carry-on. Like, I'm not gonna pack that in there. So let me make a list of what I have left for this to be all done. So I've got to finish page 6 of Multiple Birdies, that little bit of stitching left. I've got to get a highlighter, and I've got to tape or sew the edges of my canvas. And then we're done. That's it. That is all I'm bringing. So, oh, I almost lost my scissors. So in the end, I'm bringing 2 cross stitch patterns, one with about 5 colors, one with 1 color, both of which I have paper patterns for, so I don't need to rely on my electronics. I've got one really easy vanilla knitting whip with only 1 skein of yarn, and then I've got one needlepoint project, just because. So if you enjoyed kind of seeing me pack all this up, tell you about what I'm picking and why, thank you for hanging out with me. Give this video a thumbs up, and I will be back after my trip to tell you all of the crafts that I actually finished, and if I packed way too much, way too little, or just enough. Okay, I didn't even do this on purpose, but I picked matching bags. That was just meant to be. I didn't even realize I brought both of these. Wow. If you noticed this before I did, let me know in the comments. Unplanned, but pretty happy about it.